The most important thing is you need to understand SEO, which is search engine optimization. These are the keywords that make your website stand out. So you could have AI design you a really pretty website and it can look really lovely, but it's absolutely pointless if no one can find it.
Have you got some top tips for websites as well? Like some of the things that you think are really important?
Yeah. Okay. So on a website itself,
Today's guest is Lucy Reynolds. Lucy is a homeopath with a passion for helping other homeopaths with all the techie stuff that might be holding them back and preventing them from getting out there and practicing. So if you need somebody to set up your website and help you with any of the tech stuff, emails, SEO, all that sort of stuff, then Lucy is your gal. So go and check out theclassicalhomeopath.com. Lucy also has her Confident Homeopath Challenge that's starting. You can go to facebook.com/groups/unstoppable homeopaths to join her Facebook group, and then also join in on her Confident Homeopath calls, which is only £99 for the year, plus all of the recordings. So if this sounds like you, if you need a bit of a kick up the bum to get all your IT stuff out of the way so you can start getting out there and practicing, then get in touch with Lucy and get practicing. That's what we're here for, right? Thanks so much for listening.
Welcome to the Homeopathy Hangout podcast, where we discuss all things homeopathy from around the world. And now our mum and your host, Eugenie Kruger.
Hello, homies, and welcome back to Homeopathy Hangout. Today we have a very interesting guest, the lovely Lucy Reynolds from the UK. Welcome to the show, Lucy.
Thank you, Eugenie.
I had so much fun reading your bio. I'm like, damn, this girl's done a few things. I bet you have some stories to tell. But you know the drill. Do you want to tell us how you were first introduced to homeopathy?
Yeah, okay. So we used homeopathy growing up, actually. We had these two tiny little pamphlets in the house. Really, you can still get them like from old-fashioned shop books. They're like tiny, almost like a pamphlet from Nelson's, I think. And it was called Homeopathy for Pets and Homeopathy for Humans. And I think my gran was really into homeopathy. And so we had them, and all I remember is really belladonna for everything and Russ Tox, or Aunt Arnica, obviously. That was pretty much it. And we gave the dogs, we always had a pet dog, gave the dogs homeopathy. And so we had it in the house as kids, and then didn't really use it again, didn't really, think of it particularly. And then years and years later, in my late 20s, I got quite unwell when I was in the military. And I had tried everything. At first you're just treated in the forces with kind of standard. You don't even think it's free, it's quick. You need to see someone, you're seeing a specialist that day. It's sort of like you don't think outside of the box. And so unfortunately I got worse and worse. And eventually when I left years later, I kept trying everything else, not homeopathy, everything else. And then eventually I fell upon homeopathy and never looked back. So, and I knew from that absolute first appointment that I'd found my cure, so to speak. So yeah.
You've kind of like skipped over like the part that I find the most intriguing, which is the helicopters in the military. You have to just expand a bit more on that.
Oh, that's a bit of a disaster story, actually.
Oh, okay. Share it anyway.
So yeah, I can tell it. So I joined the military wanting to work in logistics. They just have lots and lots of fun. They're a really huge part of the military. This was the British Army. They do lots of travel, lots of adventure, lots of varied jobs. Really, really cool. And that's where I wanted to join. And when I was in my basic training year at Sandhurst, I was convinced to join the Army Air Corps instead, which was an absolute huge compliment stroke ego boost. And it was like, really? So I went and did that. And you start learning on fixed wing, so aeroplanes, and that was absolutely amazing. I just loved every minute of it. And then when you've done that, you move over to rotary, so helicopters, and I just hated it. I was having, and I think my sort of health problems had started. I was absolutely exhausted. I'd had a really difficult year. And I just absolutely hated helicopters. So I pushed on for a little while and then switched and went over to logistics.
I'm sorry, I pushed that. I love helicopters.
No, it's just not a particularly exciting story.
I was about, I think, 10 or 11 when my dad's girlfriend at the time did deceased estates. And this guy sadly had no family, but he in his will left for somebody to go strew his ashes over the ocean. And so I got a helicopter ride when I was a kid. And then I got to, when I was a volunteer firefighter in Wellington, we did rural fires and we had a few helicopter rides and we did some helicopter training and that. And it was so fun. So anyway, any of the
Oh,
listeners want to
yeah.
shout me a helicopter ride? I'm so up for that. I think helicopters
And
are
it's
awesome.
really funny because during my basic training year, they kept putting me in
Oh,
helicopters, like,
really?
come on, like, and it was great fun.
Mm.
And I really probably shouldn't say this, but when you then study them and you work out how they work, I was just like, this isn't really designed to fly, this thing.
No. Okay, well, maybe I won't
No,
go
they're
there
fine.
then.
They're fine. But it was, yeah, it wasn't for me. But there we go. Yeah.
Now, the reason you're actually on the podcast today is because you have a passion for helping homeopaths get themselves out there. And maybe just talk to us a little bit about that. So tell us a little bit about why you're here today and what is it that you have a passion for doing?
Okay, so how should I start this? I'll start with the fact that I designed my own website when I was studying homeopathy and really loved doing that. And then I designed websites for some friends, and then I started doing more and more and realized I was quite good at it. And then I took on a couple of people that weren't homeopaths, friends that were like, oh, can you do a firefighter, and who'd gone into consulting, and a gardener. And then I was like, oh, I just want to do homeopaths websites. Like it's the perfect niche in a way, a homeopath making a website for a homeopath. So I got into that. And I really love it because I get to have a call with the homeopath who is either new or about to graduate or is having a change of what they're doing, or there's some reason they want a new website. And it's really exciting because I get to talk to them about, right, what's the aim of the website? What are your business goals? What makes you you? What do you want on the website? Have you thought about this? And quite often, I have to know what their pricing is going to be because it's going on the website. So we might have a conversation about like, you could charge more than that, or this, we'll talk about, is that what you want to charge? And they're like, oh, they may come out and say, well, I'm not sure. I just feel like this, then the other. And
So it's really more than just the website. You kind of
it
sound like you're kind of
is,
like
yeah.
coaching them as well.
It is, yeah. And I studied coaching in the army, so I really, really enjoy like motivating people and coaching people. And I think it's kind of why helicopters didn't suit me either. You just have one colleague, whereas when you're in the kind of, you're just in a cockpit. I know that sounds terrible. You're just in a cockpit. There'll be people watching this going, "What? That was my childhood dream." I get told off for putting it down, but yeah, like I love developing people and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's way more than that. And you hear people's real, maybe their sort of insecurities. They're like, oh, I'm not sure about, I'm like, have you got social media links? Oh, I'm not sure about going on social media. Oh, I don't know. I don't think I could do this or that. Or, oh, have you got a nice picture of yourself? Like, oh, no. And so it's really about encouraging people. So I've been doing that kind of part-time alongside homeopathy because for me, it gives me that outlet of like seeing clients and then having something really creative and fun to do. So I do the two of them. And then just this year, I decided I wanted to do something really big and different. And could I set a really big goal? So my initial goal was, right, I want to design, I'm not sure how the initial goal fits into it anymore, but my initial goal was, right, I want to design 100 websites in a year. Like I want to get as many homeopaths out there as possible who are maybe hiding or haven't got their website sorted or are putting it off, something I'll talk a lot about probably. And then that just developed and I was like, right, I need to be speaking to more homeopaths. I need to like have them almost ready to want to go forward and find out where their blocks are. So then I started this community of homeopaths online and talking to them weekly about pushing forward. And there's a kind of element of tech there because I'm quite techie. My dad had a computer when we were quite young, this huge thing up on a desk in like the 80s, and my brother had me unscrewing the back of it and replacing components and things when I was 7 years old kind of thing. So I've never had a fear of technology at all. I shouldn't say I don't know what I'm doing, but I just play around with it. I have absolutely no fear of technology. I just play around with it.
That's
it can't
amazing.
go wrong. What's the worst that can happen? And then I realized that nearly all homeopaths don't think that way. They're like, oh, no, 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 no.
I think most humans don't think that way. Like my husband's one of those that does like technology, but I get, definitely put off by it and a little bit frightened by it. Yeah.
Yeah. And our profession as well. We're empaths, we're creative, we're listening and things like that. And it just doesn't necessarily equate to being really good at tech necessarily. So like part of what I want is kind of twofold what I want to do, which is make homeopaths comfortable around the various tech decisions. So whether you're working online or offline, seeing clients online, doing social media or not, nowadays, like we're running the whole business, aren't we? We're the homeopath, we're the accounting department, we're the marketing department, the learning development. We're
Reception,
doing,
accounts.
we're doing it
Yeah.
all. And I've got a list here of like just some of the tech stuff. So we've got like your website, SEO, your search engine optimization, booking software, video software, accounting software, payment software, note-taking software, SEO software, forms, having a subscriber form, AI, social media, Canva or design software, your calendar, blog, like mail merge software, newsletter software. There's like so much.
That's a
And so
lot when
many
you
different,
actually like listed like that. I'm like, yep, tick, 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 tick. We've got all
yeah.
of that. That's a lot.
And so many companies are offering so many amazing solutions, and most of them do lots of things, but not necessarily everything. And then someone will create something that's like, well, this does everything, but then it doesn't quite do this. And it's amazing. Like my basic message is go with what suits you kind of thing, but it can feel really overwhelming. And that's the theme that I find the most talking to the homeopaths that I speak to is it's just overwhelmed, so they put it off.
And let's face it, we just want to see clients and help people. We don't want to do the techie stuff. That's not our, what I like
Yeah,
that term zone of genius. I heard that once. I'm like, oh, zone of genius. I like that. Like you want to stay in your zone of genius, the part that
yeah,
lights you up and actually gets you
yeah.
excited.
Yeah, and that sort of the softwares are sort of designed to help you stay in your zone of genius so they do the hard work. But it's so overwhelming, I think, comparing them. And ultimately, my kind of message is actually we can keep it simple. We don't even necessarily need a lot of these things. And there'll be all sort of people listening to this. Some people will want to, pay a lot of money and have this software that does everything and it will be fantastic. And they may also be delivering some big courses online and need it for more complicated things. I think my message mainly is to people who they just want to see people face to
Mm.
face, be it online or in person, but they kind of just want to get their clinic set up and having lots of people through the door. And they're not necessarily doing big, huge things yet. And it can feel overwhelming. And I think also we play into this kind of what I call like a middle era of tech. So if I speak to my parents about tech, they're like, well, we kind of just need to remember our bank password or where we wrote it down, and we're not here for much longer. And then you speak to kids, and everything's just like, everything is now on the cloud or app based. And the concept to them that you might have like notes from uni, notes from school, notes from homeopathy college, notes about this, notebooks here, even writing passwords. A lot of young people are like, why would you write your passwords down? There's like software for that. And I spoke to the girl that lives opposite me recently, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I've got 8,000 photos on my phone. She was like, wow, that's really good. How do you keep it so low? Especially with a dog, you need at least 1 million photos. And she had like, 60,000 photos or something. And I was like, wow, isn't that overwhelming? She was like, in what way? It's just, it doesn't exist. It's just ones and zeros on a phone. And I feel like kids are growing up in a real different attitude. And we're this perfect market to just sell us stuff. Like, here's a solution, you need this, you need this. And I think that we don't necessarily need it all. Just to get started, just to
Yeah.
start seeing clients.
Mm.
So I suppose to summarize that, I'm just kind of teaching people simple tech skills, getting them so that they know what works and what doesn't for them. If they've got more complicated questions, how does something bigger work? I sort of teach that, but also I'm trying to give people momentum and tips on just being more visible, more confident, talking about homeopathy, how they can thrive with or without social media. We don't actually need it to just see clients.
I really want to believe that one because I tell you what, it really does my head in social media, but it's also grown my business to what it is. And I
Yeah,
saw a post in one of the Homeopathy Friends Facebook group today where, it's all professional homeopaths, and somebody said there, I've been offered this opportunity to pay £300 for all these flyers to get delivered.
saw
Did you
that.
see that post as well? And I'm like, really? People still do that? But luckily, I was happy to see in the comments because obviously it's mostly older homeopaths that are in there. And I was actually surprised to see how many of them said, no, don't waste your time with that. And so I was glad to see
Yeah,
that advice because that definitely
yeah,
doesn't work. So
yeah.
yeah, it's a tricky one with social media. I would love to believe that you don't need it, but I can't see how Like for me personally, and this is maybe my own
Yeah.
limiting beliefs. So,
Yeah, so I very
yeah.
firmly believe you don't need it, but it totally depends what business you're trying to achieve. So, for example, Mary, who runs Homeopathy 24/7, her model is amazing and it gets people really seeing clients all over the world and it relies on social media. And so, if you're going to niche, very specifically a niche, or if you're going to see clients sort of all over the world, then really social media is really, really useful. But if you just want to be your local homeopath in your local town, you know, I firmly believe you don't need social media at all
Mm.
because actually we are still surrounded by sick people and there's a waiting list to see the doctor. And, and the doctor used to be, and in some small areas they still are, but the doctors don't have enough time. They're so busy. And the doctor used to be the key person in the community who everyone knew, and they would be professional in their office, and then out of work they still knew everyone and they cared and they had that bedside manner. And whilst that's still true, they're so busy, and I don't see why the homeopath can't be that. The local person who is busy. There are so many sick people around on every street corner. It sounds like they're hanging out on the street corner, you know what I mean, on every road, in every village. There are people around us that
Yeah.
need our help.
Mm.
And actually, I think that we can get completely bogged down. And talking very much here, people are just wanting to see people one to one, not doing anything big in terms of global reach or anything like that.
Mm.
I really believe that people can get, or I see it, people get really bogged down by social media and thinking that they now have to be a content creator, the next influencer, you know.
Yep, guilty of that.
But
And
what you're doing is so different, Eugenie, and it's
oh,
amazing.
I don't
You
know.
know.
It's not enjoyable, but it kind of feels like a beast now because I have, the homeopaths on my team that I also now need to like kind of get work in for. And now I'm like, oh, I don't want to be on social media, but I feel like there's not another way. But we are actually going to start doing in-person workshops here in Perth again. So I'm really excited about that and actually just building our local network here so that I don't have to use social media. So I'm definitely of the
Yeah,
opinion that I would love to investigate what that looks like and not actually
yeah.
be on socials
And
because
there
it's
are
not good for
there's
anyone's mental
some
health.
yeah, there's
Mm,
some homeopaths doing some amazing things on social media. There's some people doing really funny stuff, really
mm,
quirky, interesting. It's absolutely brilliant. But I think there's a pressure for everyone to sort of then think that they then have to be doing
yeah,
that. They're in their third or fourth year at college thinking, oh God, I've got to do this, or
yeah,
and the amount of time it takes.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, what would you say, Lucy, to people like making their own website? Because there's so much software these days where you can create your own website. So what would you say
Yeah,
to
yeah.
somebody
So
who's
that,
maybe tossing up between seeing you and, like just having
yeah,
their
so
own
that's a really
website?
good, that's a good question. So I've got a little list here actually of some things that, so if you wanted to, so you can go on various platforms now
Hmm.
and like design your own website. And the best ones I would say are probably Wix, which is Wix, Squarespace. You've then got, they're the two really big ones that are quite famous and user friendly. You've then got WordPress, which covers sort of, WordPress originally kind of covered most of the internet, but it's a bit more tricky. And I can usually spot a WordPress website if someone's made it themselves. So if you go to a professional, you'd like to think everything's like swept up, but it's not always the case. Even if
It's
there's
amazing
different
how
levels,
many, yeah, WordPress is
there's
everywhere. And my husband, because my
different
husband
levels
does
of,
as well. Yeah, he'll go on the
yeah.
back end. You'll see a super fancy website. You're like, wow, how do they do that? And he'll go in the back end. You're like, oh, it's a WordPress site. Oh, I knew the
Yeah.
template they would use.
Yeah. And even when someone's paid someone, often quite a lot of money, I can look at their site and go,
100% all the
that's
time. Yeah.
that's
My
not
husband
great.
says that as well. Yeah, somebody
Yeah.
forked out 20 grand for a website and he goes and checks it out. He's like, that's a WordPress site. Like, I could have done that.
Yeah. And it's not a very good site. And actually there's this is missing and that's missing. And I've got my list of what's really important on a website as
Yeah.
well. And then you've got when you pay for your domain name, the name of your website,
Hmm.
most of those domain hosts provide free like web building software as well, and those are really not so great. They're relatively basic. You're going to spend more time trying to figure out how to use it. So I do like the things that are like Wix and Squarespace, and there are some others. And now you can go on and AI can help you design for it. But I would say that you need a few ingredients. So you need time, because even though you sort of press a button and AI does something, you then have to go through and, well, you can't just say design me a website. You have to tell it everything about your business. You have to tell it what you want. It doesn't just make it up kind of thing. So you need the time to really, really commit to it and work out exactly what you need kind of thing. You need patience. You need a lot of patience, because you are still learning a new piece of software yourself. So even if it's made the site, you then will want to move things and be like, oh no, that shouldn't go there. And actually, maybe it's written some stuff in AI for you, and you're like, no, please don't comment on that kind of thing, and this, that, and the other. You'll be, things like, you still need to get your photo online. You'll need to be uploading and downloading things into it. So you need some patience. You still need basic technical knowledge. Like, it's pretty simple. I would say that it's totally doable, but you still do need some technical knowledge so that you can go in and confidently do it. You need a little bit of creativity, because you actually want this to look nice. But the most important thing is you need to understand SEO, which is search engine optimization. These are the keywords that make your website stand out. So you could have AI design you a really pretty website and it can look really lovely, but it's absolutely pointless if no one can find it. So it's better to have an awful website that people can find than to have a wonderful website that no one can find. And so there are more tools. There's loads of tools out there. I suppose I'm obviously going to plug me designing them. We can talk about that at the end, maybe, because I do a very, very, very low cost website, which I can afford to do at that price, because I send out a form and everything they want to put on their website goes on that form. And it's almost like a coaching session in itself. So that's what, obviously, an AI website doesn't say, oh, hang on a minute, we've got a homeopath here who can provide this form, and it's going to ask you every question you ever needed, and it's going to put it on there. So my clients, they fill out a form. It's very, very simple. Then that goes onto the website, and then I design it. And we have that sort of, I suppose, kind of like a coaching call. Yeah, I had some absolutely lovely feedback from someone actually this morning, just saying it was really, really gushy. It was like, thank you, Lucy. It was like the most easy process. I'm so happy with it. Just like, it just, when they get their website, they're like, oh my God, this is amazing, sort of thing.
It's such a good point that you're making there, because, the amount of time you can do it yourself, but time is money, and you end up spending so much time learning this, and that comes at a cost when, you could have been doing consults instead.
Yeah, like I can
And
do a website for the cost of 4 clients, three or
yeah,
four of your
exactly.
clients, which is like for some people 1 or 2 days, or even less, depending how many you're seeing. But, and you have a call with me and then it's done. Anyway, I won't push that too much
Oh,
now.
you're allowed to. That's okay. You're allowed to
So
plug
much.
it. Go for it.
I'll plug it at the end. But
Have you got some top tips for websites as well? Like some of
yeah,
the things that you think are really important?
yeah. Okay, so on a website itself, so there's 4 questions you need to ask about your website, and that is, can my clients easily find me? Because actually, if you've got this beautiful website and they can't find it in the first place, that's pointless. So the answer to that is SEO. The answer is, has Google managed to find your site by having the keywords in the right places, having appropriate keywords? So something like homeopath or homeopathy is not a strong enough keyword, because the internet will be, relatively saturated by that. Something like homeopathy for eczema might be good, but that's going to be on a lot of websites as well. And then maybe homeopathy for eczema in toddlers or something might be more specific, like exactly what people are searching. And I would say now go even more niche in individual, maybe some blog posts or articles, and be bold to be even more niche, because people, especially the younger generation now, they want like their search results to talk exactly to them. Like, I had a friend once who was an artist, and the materials that he used to make his skin really dry. And he was aware that it was I think he did a lot with clay, and he was aware that it was the chemicals. So he might be searching something like eczema in artists, or eczema. I mean, I don't know, because I'm not a ceramicist or whatever it is, but or maybe horse riders find they get specific symptoms, or be really, really specific. Like, a niche in terms of the internet isn't so much what you're helping, it's who you're helping, because people want that real personalized search results sort of thing. So the first thing is getting found, and also having a Google business profile. That's so important. And again, there's so much within that. It's having the right Keywords, again, having the right locations set up. You get to put some branding on Google, and if you don't put any branding on there, it just uses Google Street View. And if the bit of Street View it decides to use is just the bins around the back alley, that's what your business looks like. Like, there's lots of like working parts here. So being able to be found in the first place, and then once they found your website, they need to be able to navigate it easily. So if people are sick or tired, or they haven't got much time, or they've got symptoms and they want help, they may do a quick search and they may open 2 or 3 tabs, a couple of homeopaths. And if one of them is like just waffle and they're like trying to find, they, who is the homeopath and what are the fees and what's all this stuff about the organon and things like that, which is we find fascinating, obviously, but our clients don't need to know it at their very initial view. So they need to just be able to navigate the site really easily, basically. So if they open a site and it's just clean, clear, crisp, they can find the fees, they can find the photo of the person, and it's like, so it needs to be easy. The next one I've written is they need to have trust in you, confidence in you, essentially. We make something like, a statistic I heard last week, but we make something like 95% of our purchases with our emotions, like getting a feel for something. So even if it's a car and you've looked into the fact that it's got all the spec that you need, or a really nice laptop, you want the best spec, you're still going to be an Apple person or a Mac, a Mac person or a PC person. You're still buying on something that you sort of firmly believe in and that kind of thing. So basically our clients need to be able to resonate with us. Now, that's not just from a picture there. Every single client's going to think, oh, that's the person I want to work with. But I've put down here, you need a photo that's obviously you. And I go on people's websites and they've used stock images of maybe somebody giving a nice therapy session, sitting down.
I get so annoyed when I see that. That completely puts me off. That's one way to not build trust, is put
Yeah,
stock images on your site.
oh, is that them? Is that the homeopath? And then looking through, and then there's maybe it's like, oh, so it needs to be really, really obvious it's that you. And it needs to be a recent picture. You sometimes see a picture from like the 1970s and you think, I would like to work with this person, but is this them now, or it's really grainy, or like, have a nice picture. And don't just use a picture of you looking like really rigid and solid like a passport photo. Go and get a nice picture taken. You don't have to have a photographer to do that. One of my tips that I say to people is to go onto the internet and Google the words "about me therapist profile photo" or "about me website photo," and it will show hundreds of people sitting in like a nice pose for their website. And actually my own website, I picked one, it was someone sat on a stool kind of relaxing like that, and they looked really, really casual, which is my kind of look. And I was like, oh, that's great. And I just copied the pose and I got a lovely picture, and I've told others to do the same. And I've got a friend who found a lovely picture of someone sat out in their garden with their dog, and she basically copied their clothing and got this really lovely picture, and everyone comments and says, oh, that's a great, and she just looks really approachable and friendly. So again, having a really nice picture, you want to come across approachable, confident. People have to put their confidence in us. You need to look confident, and testimonials help there as well, just in terms of, so far we've had, you need to be able to find me, navigate the site easily so that it's clear and simple. We really don't need hundreds and hundreds of words on there. They need to be able to trust you to go ahead and book. And then the final one is so obvious, but they need to be able to contact you. And you'd think that's so obvious, but I go on websites and it's really unclear how you get in touch with them, or the phone number.
I get annoyed by contact forms if they don't have, and I understand why people do it, probably for spam bots and stuff, but there'll be like a contact form, and I just don't always trust that the emails are going to actually go through them. So I get annoyed if I get contact forms and there's no email address. So there's no other way that you can contact the person other than a contact form.
Yeah, so it's really important to have both. So a contact form, I think, is great because a lot of people will just fill it out, but you always need the actual email address there, and the email address should link. So when you click on the email address, people don't type out anymore www.eugeniakruger.com. People click on links now. And if you want to get an email address, you just need to be able to click on it. So someone's not typing it out letter for letter, getting a spelling mistake kind of thing. So
do you help people get proper email addresses as well? Because that's something that annoys me when people buy a domain name, or not annoys me, but I'm just like, oh, your IT person did not give you full details. And look, I am very privileged in that my husband is like a kick-ass IT guy. So I just like click my fingers and he does it. He's like the best. And magically makes it happen. So, when people have, the xmahomeopath.com, but then their email is xmahomeopath@gmail.com. And I'm like, no.
Ah, so it's really interesting. I actually have almost the slightly alternative view on that, Eugenie. And that is that, okay, how do I say this? So, like obviously you pay extra for business email, and it's nothing crazy, but it's another cost. So it's about £5 a month. There's ways you can tie it in, like Google kind of does everything. You get your video software, you get your email thrown in, you get all that. But a lot of people have started out at college, maybe second or third year, and they've just initially just created, so mine is Gmail. So I am the classical homeopath at gmail.com. And you start out and you've got your kind of early, clinic clients that you've got at college kind of thing. And then people know your email, and then you graduate and it's like, well, people know that email. And obviously you could start another one. You've got to be really, really confident that that's the domain name that you want. So if someone's like, I think I'm going to start off with this domain name, but I'm not 100% certain on it yet, and part of my message is just get going, pick something and go with it. There could be like potentially another email change further down the line, you never know, and it's just another cost. And if they want the total swept up look, it's lovely, it's really, really nice, and it does look really great. But I don't think it affects people who have just got a really awful chest infection, who just want to see a homeopath. I think if someone's got,
To be fair, I should give you a caveat. I don't know if you know this, but I actually worked on an internet help desk in 2000, from 2001 till 2003-ish. Oh, no, actually, no, that was the when I was at the entertainment book. So it was before that. So it would have been about 99 to maybe
yeah,
2001 because I was there over Y2K as well. And I was setting up dial-up connections for people and setting up their websites. I was hard coding HTML back in those days. And, domain
yeah.
names, and then setting up their email. So I'm probably a little bit of a snob when it comes to that. I think you should have a domain email.
Yeah, and I think it's a nice thing to be a snob about. I think it looks really lovely. And you definitely don't want something that you set up when you were at school, like sparklefairies@hotmail.com or something. I don't know. Again, I don't know where that came from. But I think my point is, and I look at and I use, actually, who do I use as an example? Hilary Dorian has, I think, like a Yahoo address. David Mundy.
AOL.
AOL, that's right. And
Yeah.
David Mundy, who is one of our lecturers, he has like a Gmail or a Yahoo. And I think nearly all of our lecturers did. And okay, that's not to say the younger generation shouldn't, but I think one of my points is it's so lovely if you can get beautiful swept up email. It's so lovely if you can have perfect social media. It's so lovely if you can have all of this stuff. But please don't let it. I'm finding so many people putting off starting. And
I get
that
you.
really, I think it comes down to a confidence to see clients. It's nothing to do with an email address, but any little micro hesitation that can get in their way often does, because it's that little voice going, ooh, internally it's like, I don't want to see clients yet. And then externally it's like, well, still need to pick my email address, so I can't possibly.
You see that though. I know of plenty of people who've done exactly that. They spend like ages on their website. No, I can't see anyone yet. My website's not ready. I'm like, it's like one of the biggest pitfalls we can do. You really just need to get out there and
You do,
be
yeah,
brave.
yeah. And I kind of say the same about courses. Like there's so many wonderful, wonderful courses and webinars out there, but not for new homeopaths to stop. Don't think, oh, I need another course. Like, oh, I must study this before I can see clients. No, you've done your 4 years. Like, you're amazing. Go and see clients. It's the only way you can learn, you know. And we are very, very good at just buying one more book and just going on one more course. And
Yep, absolutely.
and the courses are amazing, but it's just
Uh,
also see clients, like get
mm.
out there.
It sounds like you're a bit of a fan of niching as well, because I think I was reading through your bio and it sounds like you're quite a fan of niching too.
Oh, no.
Are you not? Oh, maybe I
No,
misread it.
no,
You're not a fan.
not,
Okay.
no, not
What's your thoughts
necessarily.
around it?
Yeah, not necessarily, because again, I think if you've got a really clear niche because of an experience you had that you can really, really talk to people, or you have just found a niche that you love and you're great at, go for it. Like, I'm not anti-niche, like, absolutely go for
Oh,
it.
good. Because I'm like
Um,
rereading your email here and going, how did I misread that?
I have an interest in burnout because that's kind of, burnout and depression in a way is what I kind of experience myself. And so I have an interest in that. And I do see clients with that, but I am a general homeopath. I'm my local homeopath and I see people locally.
Yeah.
And I think that again, I wouldn't say I'm actually pro or anti anything. I think my message is don't let any of these things stop you, because it's what I see over and over again is people just with a to-do list or questions and they're delaying. It can come down to like technophobia, overwhelm. Oh, I think I need a niche. Seeing other homeopaths online who have an amazing niche and have an amazing presence on social media, and they're so like charismatic and great, and actually other people are like, oh god, just start seeing clients. You're perfect as you are, you know.
Well, tell us a bit about your Confident Homeopath course as well, because you've got that coming up in the next little while.
Yeah,
Tell
so
us what that's all about.
that's running over the next year, and maybe it will continue. I don't know. We'll see how the first year goes. So it's tied in with me trying to design as many websites as I can. And the point of that is like, let's just get more homeopaths than ever visible, confident, talking about homeopathy, so that more clients can get better, more people can access homeopathy, because there are so many people sat in our like Facebook groups and things who are not seeing many clients. And you don't have to. We don't have to practice. It's the beauty of working for yourself. We can see 2 clients a week, or we can see 20 clients a week, or 1 client a month, whatever you want to do. But I think a lot of people are sitting there because they think it maybe hasn't worked for them. It's just hard getting clients, or even something really subconscious like, oh, I just don't want to see too many clients, when actually there's some kind of other block there kind of thing. So the challenge is kind of to get more people seeing a homeopath. So it started out with the like design as many websites as possible. And then I realized I needed to be, like I said, talking to homeopaths to do it. So every week we have a call. I've got some things written down. So it's teaching some basic tech skills, encouraging people to not overthink those technical decisions. Just get on with it. Pick something and go with it, or pick nothing at start. My kind of message, if you haven't got an obvious niche, don't force it. Just start. Just start seeing clients. I'm encouraging lots of momentum. So we have like a weekly meeting, and I'll set a task there and then on the meeting, and then I'll stay on the call afterwards while people actually do the task. It's something that can be done usually in 5 minutes. And I might even sort of talk through a task and use myself as an example. So this week we're going to do this. Here's my example of it. Right, now you go and do the same. They can post it into this group because it's a private space, and that's completely safe then to experiment, doing new different types of posts. And it all applies to people whether they want to work online or offline, because I think the same rules apply in being confident speaking about homeopathy down at the gym, in your local coffee shop, in your local health food shop. It's all the same sort of stuff. So there's that momentum. And actually most people are finding that if they do something every week, and there's 50 or 100 or maybe even more people all doing it that week, then they feel less, people are like, oh, it's really cringy trying to like sell myself. And it's like, but all of a sudden they did it. It took 5 minutes. They did it there and then. They saw me do it. It's all in a private group and it's easier. So there's that momentum. I want to get people comfortable talking about homeopathy. I hear a lot of people go, oh, I just don't know how to talk about homeopathy. It's like, it's really simple, and just helping with that. Building a bit of a community, because then there's accountability and you actually keep each other going. And trying to get them online with a good website, basically. Like, come on, let's go. Let's get out there.
That sounds awesome. I love this military like drill style that you've got. I think it's really going to help get some people. I love that saying motivation follows action. And we often think, oh, I'm not motivated to do it. But actually, what you first need to do is the action. Just do it. And then as you're doing it, the motivation follows after that. So
So the little task we had this week was to record ourselves into our phone, just saying like a 10-second post. So in front of the people on the course this week, it's not a course, it's more of a sort of community phone call, video call. So in front of them this week, I held my phone in front of me and I just said, hi everyone, it's Lucy here. I hope you've had a lovely week. Just to let you know, if you'd like to book a consultation or get in touch about any health questions, just let me know. Bye. And press stop. And I came off and I was like, it's cringy. I hate it. But it's normal to feel cringy. It doesn't feel natural. And then I posted it straight in the group and they're all like, oh, I've got no excuse. That's really not hard. It's 10 seconds. It's and they did it. And afterwards, like you just said, the sort of discomfort first, and they did it. And afterwards they've all gone, oh my God, that was actually really easy.
There's another great saying I love, and that is that the first 100 of whatever you do will be shit. So get that out of the way as quickly as possible. And
Yes.
that is literally what I did with this podcast is I try to
Yeah.
get my first 100 episodes out of the way as quickly as I could because you guaranteed that it will get better. Like it doesn't mean it's going
Yeah.
to take you 100 to get better,
Yeah.
but in the process of doing it, you're going to keep on learning and actually not to put any pressure on yourself for that first 100 social media post
Yeah.
that you do, or the first 100 newsletters, or the first 100 consultations, or the first 100 whatever. Just do it as if you're at a gym and you're doing reps. So don't like overthink it. Just do it because you're building your muscle as you're going.
Yeah. It's the same with absolutely anything. You're not going to get on a bike and just ride it perfectly. You just
Yeah,
have to just keep going at it.
yeah,
I've got some top tips here in general.
yeah. Fire away.
Right, have we got time?
Yeah, yeah. Go for it.
Yeah, so let's just see. In no particular order. I am a big card. So some of these tips, the irony is that I'm really into tech. I like to simplify it and make people feel, because even if you're not doing social media, we still have all these things to be able to run our business, even if it's just your booking software or something like that. But I have tips for people that are like wanting to still see people locally as well. You know, every client that we see, if we see them online through a niche, they've probably got a homeopath around the corner who hasn't tapped into them, and so someone else is finding their business kind of thing. So I am a big fan of a business card. I think that we should be carrying business cards around, and every time someone talks to us at a party or a friend or something like that, you know, we don't need to be the bore going on about homeopathy, but it's just like, well, here's my card, done. You know, you just plant that seed. A bit like when you have a discovery call, you know, at the end of the discovery call, we should be saying, and would you like me to book you in now? I've got a slot next week. Like, come on. People want to be wanted. They want to get better, you know, and I think we're all overwhelmed by decisions, and actually putting it to someone and saying, here is my card, or I have a slot on Tuesday. Would you like me to book you in? I think it helps people without being pushy. You say I've got this like military enthusiasm, but I'm quite, you know, I'm definitely not pushy with my clients. I could be more, but I'm not. So I think a business card, and I have a business card that I designed which lists like every symptom you can ever think of in quite a quirky, it looks funky, it looks trendy, it looks nice. It's not just a mass of words, but people like it and they'll be like, oh, thanks. And then they'll turn it over, and every single time they're like, oh, right, you treat hay fever. Like, oh, I'm going to give this to my friend. And like, oh my God, you do fertility. Oh, eczema. No, anxiety. And they just don't know, do they? They're like, oh, I didn't realize homeopathy could do all this stuff.
That is such a good idea.
So then they like pass it on. So you can buy that design off me if you wish, or make it yourself. Not you, your listeners, Eugene. So I'm a big fan of business cards and putting them on the desk at the local yoga studio, your local coffee shop, local health food shop, and things like that. Let's have a little look. Giving talks locally is just brilliant, or even online, just giving talks. And again, a bit like you with get your first 100 done. You don't need a slideshow. You don't need slides. You don't need a presentation. Just talk to people. You know, it can be really simple. Talk about homeopathy for 5. Talk about, if people struggle talking necessarily about homeopathy, talk about how you got into homeopathy, and then ask for questions. And you will have half an hour of questions because people were just so intrigued. And it doesn't even need to be, it could be a talk about low tox living or natural health in general. You know, it's just still you putting yourself there as the person they can ask these questions to. Consistency and a momentum. So just being consistent. Like you said, get your first 100 done. Just be consistent. If you're going to post something on social media, keep it super simple so that you can do it 2 or 3 times a week. You know, there's no point doing something amazing once a month because the Facebook algorithm will just sink it to the bottom, you know. So if you're going to do stuff, make sure it's manageable. So whatever you do, do it consistent. If you're going to do a monthly talk, do a monthly talk, you know. Don't overthink decisions. I've written down here your logo. People ask me like, oh, but I need a logo. I am not ready yet. I'm not ready. I'm like, logos were like, we don't need logos anymore. Like, if you look at a lot of the really top brands, they don't have logos necessarily anymore. Like people that have got a logo, fantastic, but you don't need one anymore. You know, we have like Marks and Spencer is like really classy, just the words Marks and Spencer. The White Company, I don't know if you have that in Australia. That's very exclusive, fancy, nice homewares that are nearly all white. And it's just the word, the White Company. Sony, Panasonic, it's just a word. You know, Waitrose is our particularly nice supermarket. There's no logo there. So I say to people, just stop overthinking things. The name of your business, your email, people put, oh, I think I might need to buy notes software, and should I'm not ready yet because I think I need to take notes on my laptop. I'm like, just start. If you're going to do newsletters like a mail merge, just keep it really simple. Like, people have so many newsletters come in. We don't need to read this content created thing. Like, just do a really simple email. Hey guys, this is what I did this week. These are my opening hours next week. I've got this holiday booked then. So if you need to see me before then, please book in. Have a lovely weekend. Like,
Yeah.
really simple. Collaborate with other therapists. So some work that other homeopaths are doing. So a friend of mine that I was at college with, when she graduated, she got together with I think like a nutritionist, a coach, and her, and they did a monthly walk. And anyone could come on that walk and then ask questions. And that's how they got their first clients. It's like such a nice idea. Going into corporations. So Matt Pepper, he goes in and works in corporate, doesn't he? Another great idea. Go in and talk to an HR department and talk about how you can, help their sick days. School counselors, go and speak to like a school nurse or school counselor and say, if you've got kids who are really struggling with behavioral issues or repeated infections, like, feel free to send them my way. And yeah, sure, some might be up for it, some might not. Buck trends, because I like bucking the trends. So who says our consults have to be like roughly an hour? Like, and the kind of out there version I give of this is, why couldn't we go into like a CEO's office for a day and charge £1,000, and you spend a day there, and they have a consult in the morning, and then you shadow them for the day. You see how they respond in meetings, what makes them most stressed, what are they eating, and then you have a sort of closed down consult at the end of the day and a remedy, and you do that once a month for them for 6 months for £1,000 a time. Think outside the box. We don't have to stick to this is what we do, this is roughly what we do kind of thing. Same with pricing. It can be completely what you want. Where we practice, I think we kind of have this image of like, dressing nice and smart and having a lovely therapy room that's soft and gentle. And I see nearly all my clients in my gym kit. That's kind of who I am. I'm very sporty. I'm always in leggings and a hoodie. And, I find so many of my clients come to the door and they're wearing the exact same as me. Sometimes the same. And it's like, oh, I know I'm resonating with my clients now. We could be having a room in a gym. We could be working at a co-working center. Great place to be seeing people. A little private office in a co-working center, not a natural therapy center, a co-working place where you've got a web designer, a lawyer, someone doing sales, really great networks. And you're in this place as well. Working in corporate, working in a health shop, working from a coffee shop, you're not going to be seeing the really deep acutes there, deep chronics there, but you could be doing an acute clinic or doing a drop-in once a week at a coffee shop. Go and work in a Steiner school. What have I got here? Oh, I've written down Wellness Cloud. That's an online platform for seeing therapists.
I hope you're going to keep some of these tips for your actual course, right? Because you're like giving
this is just the absolute like
scratching the surface.
There's so much. There's so much. Yeah.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about where people sign up for your course? Like, where, if they like what they're hearing, they want to work with you, like, how do they go about that?
Yeah, so there's a Facebook group they can join for free anyway, just to be in the community. Mm-hmm. So I'll give you the link to that, and then hopefully they can just find it in the show notes. It's facebook.com, and then because it's a group, you have to have the word group, and then after that, it's Unstoppable Homeopaths. So it's facebook.com. Yeah,
I've got facebook.com /groups/ Unstoppable Homeopaths.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. Great. So the group is actually called, that's just the web address. It's called the 2026 Confident Homeopath Challenge. Amazing. So they can join the group, and if you could put the link down in the show notes, that'd be fantastic. So they can join there, and then once they're in there, all the details of how they can actually join the weekly calls. That's £99 for the year just to join in the calls and come along, and it's all recorded so they can watch it live or watch it back. And they can also just go to my website, which is theclassicalhomeopath.com. So if they go to my website and go to the booking page, they can book onto the calls there. I've also got an appointment type on my homeopathy page. So if you go to my booking page, there's an appointment type called a mentoring call for homeopaths. And that's actually if you want a website, book in a free chat with me. But I don't want my homeopathy clients seeing like a website chat. So it's just called a mentoring call. So if you actually want a website designed as well, then that's where they would go. I have a web design website. I've given you the link to that as well, so they can go and see the work that I do.
Yeah.
And the website that I do the most of, I've called it my Complete Pro website, and it's £399, which is absolutely nothing. And it's a website that I've already designed and put all the work into, and then I personalize it to each person. And it's got everything you need to basically run a successful practice. It's got a subscriber form on there so you can start getting a mailing list. It's got your testimonials. It's got your booking software. It's got absolutely everything. And it's quick and it's simple and it's easy and everybody loves them. And it's really easy because I talk you through exactly what to do. And then it's basically on the Wix platform, which I like. I'm not an affiliate. I wish I was, but I'm not. So I don't get anything, but it's the platform I like. It's the way that people can just go on with no technical knowledge and be able to change their price if it changes, change their phone number, alter their photo if they want a different one, and be able to do that quite easily.
Amazing. I'm just having a little squiz through here. It looks really good. Awesome.
And then I guess the final thing is that if they want a website for the £399, they can join the year of calls for £1. So,
wow.
So that's 400.
That sounds like a bargain.
It is a bargain. I just want to do as many sites as I can in a year, help as many homeopaths. I absolutely love it. They love it. And it's so rewarding seeing people get on their way. And so many of them say, I was just procrastinating. And it's like, right, come here. Like, let's get this done. So,
amazing. Lucy, you've shared so much value today. Thank you so much for that. It's like value bomb after value bomb being dropped. I love it. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And I hope a lot of homeopaths who've been procrastinating are taking you up on this because we need them out there practicing and being seen and heard and being confident. So it's a really lovely offering that you're doing for the community.
Thank you. It's been lovely to talk to you.
So thanks, Lucy. Chat to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.